Yes, so good evening. Okay, so we are going to be discussing the topic of government and exploring CXC paper 2 past paper questions. Okay, to see how we can address them in terms of answering these questions to get the most marks. So where it comes to government, there are certain things we have learned about government. First of all, government itself. What is government, Alex? I am just recapping a little of the basics and then we jump into the questions. So what is government itself? And I hope you're able to hear me clearly.
Yes, miss. Is it like a group of people with authority?
Yes.
Like,
but you have to state authority over what? Or whom?
Like a country.
So it is a group of individuals who manage the affairs or hold the authority to manage the affairs of a country, okay? And you can even state in it that they are public officials elected or appointed, or in some cases, they rise to power on their own to manage the affairs of that country. All right, good. So once we establish that, can we state now what are the two main types of government that exist? So all the different forms of government actually come under these two types. Do you remember the two types of government? If it's not one, it must be the other. And remember now in the definition, we say that government can be appointed by the people or it can be ruled by force. So what do we call those two extremes, each of them? Do you recall the words that we used to identify the two extremes? What word do we use to identify those government in which the people elect or choose the leaders or appoint them, as opposed to the one in which persons take rule by force without the consent of the people? They don't allow the people to elect them. They take rulership on their own. Can you recall that, Alex?
Sorry, what was the question?
So as I was saying, I was asking what are the two main types of government? Two main types of government. All the forms of government fall under these two types.
I'm not sure.
The people can either choose them, or in some cases, they put themselves there, not by the choice of the people. So what are the names we give to those two separate types of government? Jamaica, for example, is one country where the people make the choice of who they want to represent them in government. So we say that Jamaica is what kind of government? Start with the word D. The letter D, sorry, the letter D.
Democratic.
Democratic. So democracy is one main type of government. And by democracy, of course, we mean that it is ruled by the people, because the people are the ones who vote for and elect the actual leaders or public officials who will represent them and govern them as a part of the government. So what is the opposite of that now? If it's not democracy, then what is it?
Monarchy.
No, actually monarchy is a form of government, not a type of government. Because when we say type, We mean so we group all the forms into those two types, because look at it now, Alex, and this is where I always try to direct students so they understand the main difference. So you can have a monarchy that is democratic, and you can also have a monarchy that is not democratic. So it can fall under any of the two types because it is a form of government. All right. So if it is not democratic, what is it? What type of rule do they have if it's not democratic? There's one of two words you can use to describe it. One begins with A, and the other word that means the same thing begins with D. Think you can guess that one? It's actually a leadership style. Recall hearing about autocracy? Autocracy.
Yes, miss.
Yeah, also called dictatorship. All right. Now
I was
that
going
is
to
the
say
opposite.
the dictatorship, miss, but I wasn't sure.
Oh, say it, man. Anything you think, just say it. We need you to express so we can know, you know, where you're going, which direction, and direct you accordingly. So yes, autocracy or dictatorship is the opposite of democracy. So it's only two types of government in the world: democracy, autocracy. Now, within these types, we have different forms of government. So we can have a monarchy, and a monarchy or a constitutional monarchy or a republic. Any one of those three we can have, okay?
Yes,
Now,
miss.
a monarchy, what is a monarchy? What's the difference between the three of them now? What is a monarchy? Or what is the characteristic or the main feature that lets you know it is a monarchy, different from constitutional monarchy and different from republican? A republic, sorry.
Monarchy has like some form of government at the head, like that.
You unmute again. I started hearing you, and then the last part I didn't hear you.
I was saying that. You hear me now, miss?
Yes, I'm hearing you clearly now. Yes.
A monarchy would have like some form of government that as like the head of, well,
Remember, all of them is a government, you know. So I want you to tell me what makes them different. And it has to do with the leader or the ruler and how they get their position. Can you think about, are you following me in the direction I'm going now? So all of them are governments. But for the monarchy, listen clearly now, for the monarchy, a monarchy is a government under which or in which the leader or the ruler, the head of state, head of government, inherits their position as ruler or leader. So it has to do with the inheritance of the leadership of the position of rulership down a family line. So usually the leader or the ruler in a monarchy is a king or queen or an emperor. Understand that now, Alex?
yes, miss.
Good. So the key thing is how they inherit their position. They inherit their position, how they get their position. So they inherit their position. When it comes to a constitutional monarchy, now there is quite a difference. The constitutional monarchy is a territory, a country that has a government which the country was formerly owned by a monarchy or a more powerful country as a colony. but has gained its independence from that colonizing power, and now has its own government and its own constitution. So we have what we call the Commonwealth. The Commonwealth includes all countries of the world that were once owned by Britain or are still owned by Britain. So Britain is one of the major colonizing powers in the world, okay? It is once said and still said that the sun never sets on the United Kingdom or on Britain. The sun never sets on her. Now, why can they say that? Because almost every corner of the earth, she has a country that she once colonized or she still has as a colony that she owned and controlled and ruled over. So we know that during the period when she owned these territories or these countries, she exercised her own systems of government over them. So Britain itself was a monarchy because the king or the queen always ruled there. But for the colonies that were owned by her, she would use what was called, way back in history, what is called a representative system, where she would have a governor, a citizen from Britain, handpicked, who was put in the island or in that territory, that colony, to rule over the people in that country. So that was a representative government, all right, where there would be a governor ruling over the colony on behalf of the monarchy, on behalf of the king or the queen, all right? And then we also had under Britain the crown colony system, which just had a slight change to it. And in this one, what was added was, there was still a governor there ruling, you know, but the only difference was, well, this governor represented the crown or Britain. The only difference was that there was a council that had members that were chosen by the governor, and they would serve as advisors to the governor. All right, but they did not have an assembly. An assembly is what we call a parliament that we have now today, okay? But the old representative system had a governor born in England, and they had some members from among the elected, from among the British people who would be advisors to the governor, forming an assembly, okay? But under the crown colony system, there was no assembly, only advisors, all right? Then we come past that, where these countries, especially those in the Caribbean, like Jamaica, Guyana, Barbados, all the countries we know them as today, Bahamas, were independent nations, fought for their independence and got it. And so by virtue of that, their system of government changed. Now they become constitutional monarchy. Why do we still add on the part monarchy on it? Because of the fact that they still recognize the monarch, who is the king or queen of England, the queen in this case, it's currently a queen that is the monarch. But going back in history, we had males. So it was king, like, you know, King James and King Henry and all those who came down the line until it reached Queen Elizabeth, all right? So we still have the monarchy, the queen at this time, as our head of state. Head of state is a ceremonial position. A ceremonial position because the queen, with her monarchy from England, does not have the right to manage the day-to-day affairs of the country. She does not have the right to make decisions for the government and the country. But she has a representative here. And do you know who the representative for the queen is? Or we say the representative for the crown? Do you know?
The Governor General, Miss.
Excellent. The Governor General is the representative for the crown, as we call the monarchy or the queen, the crown, right? is the representative. And so you realize that the position of the Governor General in the government is that he gives assent or confirms, approves the decisions that the Prime Minister, who is the real head of government, who makes the decisions on behalf of the executive and the legislature and the judiciary on behalf of the government. So the one who is really in charge of the constitutional monarchy of the country is who? The Prime Minister. He is the head of government. The Queen is the head of state. The one who really does the work is the head of government, the Prime Minister. So it's not the Queen around the country, although she's the head of state. Everything is just ceremonial, as a matter of fact, just respecting her because of her power in the hemisphere, basically. All right? So we understand that the constitutional monarchy are independent nations who were once colonies of a colonizing power like Britain. Not only that, but the constitution that they have has been adjusted. They have been developed. Once they got independence, they started to develop their own constitution, but they use the same constitution from their colonizing power, their mother country, Britain, as the basis or the foundation for building their own constitution. So one of the things you will realize, Alex, is that most of the laws we have are from Britain, from Britain's constitution. But when Jamaica got independence, when Barbados, Bahamas, all these territories that were once owned by Britain got independence, they started to change some of the laws to suit their situation and themselves, their own nations. But a large part of the constitution is still the same as the British laws that were laid down originally from Britain, from the monarch, from the kings and queens of England. All right, so I hope you understand that. So now we're going to shift over now to republicanism before we go into this first question here, Alex. So what is a republic? Since we know what the monarchy is, we know what the constitutional monarchy is, can we say what the republic is? Or what is the main feature of it that makes it different from the other two forms of government? You know who is the leader of a republic? What we call the head of the republic, the ruler in the republic. What do we call that person? That position? Any idea, Alex? Aaron May? What do we call the ruler? Go ahead.
Is it president, miss?
President, excellent. So listen very carefully now. A republic is a government in which the ruler, who is the head of state, is the president, and the monarchy has no allegiance to any monarchy. When we say it has no allegiance to any monarchy, it don't even have any king or queen who is the head of state. The president is the head of state and the head of government in the republic. Whereas in the constitutional monarchy, the head of state is the monarch, the queen, and the head of government is the prime minister. So it's two different positions here. So, but in the republic, the two positions are in one person, the president, because they have no allegiance to any monarch. They make all the decisions on their own, okay? And they do not have to answer to a king or queen because they are totally free in terms of constitution and everything when you become a republic, all right? Good. Now, let's jump into this. There are a few other little things, but as we're going through the questions, we're going to see some of this information coming out, like about the what is the structure of government, because when we talk about the structure of government, we're going to be talking about the three main branches or arms or divisions of government and what each of them are responsible for in terms of functions, okay? Now, just before I go there, there's something else that need to establish that will lay the basis in your understanding. Do you know what the main functions of government generally is? The general functions of government, what are they? What are the things government are responsible for taking care of, for doing, in other words, in their capacity as government?
Protect your rights.
What about the rights?
Protect your rights, miss.
Well, the Constitution gives citizens the rights that they have. So they are to protect the rights of citizens, if you are to say that, yes, protect the rights of citizens, good. And one way that they protect the right of citizens is by making sure that they provide internal and external security in the country. So we know the government is responsible for providing security against any external threat against the country. So the government would have to have an army or a military or some means of protecting the country and its citizens from any invasion. That's one thing where security is concerned. All right. Any other function, main function you can think of?
Like providing like public services.
Say it again. Your voice went down a while ago. Providing. You said providing something, but I didn't hear the last part of what you said. And even if you're not sure, just express yourself. This is where we, correct the, what's wrong and get it straight so that when we go into the real CXC, we have the right thing to say, to write down as our answers. You're there, Alex? Oh, he fell off. Wow. Right. So now we begin with the May 2006 CXC paper 2 examination question 3. All right. So we're about to answer, and very importantly for paper 2 questions, Alex, we need to ensure that all the answers must be given in complete sentences as much as possible. And if they ask for explanation, if they say describe, if they say explain, if they say suggest or propose or give a reason for something, it means that we have to explain our answers fully. Okay, so A part, letter I, which of these 3 systems, I hope you're seeing the question on the screen. Yes, let me check to make sure it's shared. Which of these 3 systems of government, is it crown colony, constitutional monarchy, or republicanism? Which one of these 3 is represented by the diagram below? That flow chart we see there with Governor General at the top, and below we see the 2 houses of parliament, the Senate and the House of Representatives. Which one of those? Is it a crown colony government, a constitutional monarchy, or a republic? Which one is it? And you can match it to your own country. Now, think about your own country. I remember what your own country, which system of government or form of government your own country has. Out of those 3, is this similar to the structure in your own government, Jamaica? Alex, when you look at it, do we have a governor general, and do we have those 2 houses in parliament, the Senate and the House of Representatives? Do we have that?
Yes, miss.
Yes. So which one of these terms identify this government that is similar to ours? Is it a crown colony or a constitutional monarchy or a republicanism? And if you're not sure, you have to start ruling out things. Number one, the crown colony government would have what? A governor, not a governor general, okay? And they would not have an assembly with a Senate and House of Representatives, only advisors to the governor, all right? So that rules out crown colony. What about republicanism? Who would be the leader on top where we have the governor general there? Would it be a governor general in the republic? What do you think?
No, miss.
President would be right on top there. So if it's not those two, which one must it be? It's only 3 of them are there.
Constitutional monarchy.
That's correct. So Jamaica is a constitutional monarchy, and that is why this chart is very similar. It is the exact same system of government that we have. So that is how you would express diagrammatically using a diagram. Well, this is just a part of the structure, the basic structure of the constitutional monarchy. There's much more to it that would go on the chart. All right. But once the governor general is there, you know immediately it's constitutional monarchy, because the governor general represents the queen or the king, head of state. Let's go to letter I2. Name one CARICOM country that uses the system of government that is shown in the diagram above. Easy cheesy. What's that one now, Alex?
Jamaica, miss.
Jamaica. Another one would be, just think of any country in the Caribbean that has a prime minister. Once it have a prime minister, you know it's a constitutional monarchy. Can you think of any other that has a prime minister in the Caribbean? What about Barbados? What about Bahamas, St. Lucia, and some of those?
Antigua, miss. Antigua and Barbuda.
Antigua, yes, Antigua and Barbuda, yes, very good. All right, so once it has a prime minister, it is a constitutional monarchy. You got your 2 marks for the first one, you got your 1 mark for the next one. Next question says, the third part, name one CARICOM country that uses another system of government, not the constitutional monarchy, no. So it means that we're not looking to find a country that has a prime minister. We want to find one that has a president, maybe, which is a different form or system of government. Which of the Caribbean countries do you know have a president?
I think the Dominican Republic, miss.
Dominican Republic, yes. But remember, now I know. All right, once it is in CARICOM, it can be counted, yes. So you could say Dominican Republic. It's just that Dominican Republic does not have the same history as us, but yes, it is acceptable. Also, you could say Guyana. Guyana is an original Caribbean country because we share the same history of slavery and sugar industry. All right, so Guyana has a president. Trinidad and Tobago, Trinidad, the section that is Trinidad has a president. Tobago has a prime minister, but Trinidad has a president. Okay, so you would be correct in that one. All right, get 1 more mark right there. So we're going down a little bit more. Now this one is going to get a little bit technical, not so hard, but for the 4th part, it says, sketch and label a diagram that represents the system of government that the country you have named in I3 above uses for 2 marks. So it's the same little kind of flowchart thing you're gonna do, but you are going to show it for a different system of government. So this one here was showing constitutional monarchy. So what can you show here? You can show either crown colony or representative government, or you can show republicanism, a republic. If it is a republic, what would you have on this if it were a republic? What would change on this diagram if it was a republic and not a constitutional monarchy?
There would be a president at the top.
Excellent. A president would be at the top. Continue. What would come under the president? Who the president works with? Can think of America? What do they call all the people that usually meet together with the president to discuss, government business? It's a C word. I don't know if you've heard it before.
I'm not sure, miss.
You ever hear them talk about the Congress? The Congress, that is what they call it in America. But the difference is, and we're coming down to a question, that is going to address this. The difference with the government that is a republic is that they do not have a bicameral, meaning a two-sided parliament with two houses or two groups in parliament. They have one altogether. And in that one house, they have some that are Republicans and some that are Democrats. So you will have it coming down to show the Congress or the Assembly, a single one coming down, not two going to the sides. All right? That is for the Republic. All right. Next thing we're gonna do is, if it were the crown colony, who would be at the top of it?
A king or queen?
No, man, remember I said crown colony. Yes, the king or queen is in charge. Okay, if you put the king or queen up there, I don't have a problem. But I'm thinking of who they put. Because remember, the queen and the king is not out here in the islands, in the colonies. They are not in the colonies that they own. They are back in their own country, in England, in Britain. But the government we're talking about is out here in the colony. So who would they put in charge?
Governor.
Governor. So we drop off the general party now and we leave governor up there alone. And if you want to put in bracket now, representing the crown or representing king or queen. All right. And then coming down below it, straight down below it now, what we're going to have? For the crown colony, we will have council, a council of advisors. A council of advisors coming directly below the governor. All right. If it is a representative system, we are going to have the governor up there same way, and a council and the assembly. Okay. All right. So you need to remember that. All right. So have that basically in your mind, who would be different on top and what would come below. And that would give you, for that one, it's just 2 marks. And they want to see, identify those 2 segments, the leader and who comes below them. That is basically what they're looking for. So now we come to B. A constitution often defines 3 arms of government. Those 3 arms are the executive, the legislative, and the judicial, which is same as legislature and judiciary. Okay, now for each of the 3 arms of government, you're going to write 1 sentence that explains how it works.